Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Please Tag Me. My name is Austin,
I'm Emily.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Christian.
and this is Please Tag Me.
Yay.
Wow,
Cool.
first guest episode.
First guest.
I know. Dude, thank
So
you so much for
fun.
being here. This
Yeah.
is Christian Tierney, everybody.
I had the pleasure of touring with Christian this past summer. He was working with Niall Horan. He's also worked with Hosier, Barry Keoghan, Paul Mescal, a bunch of other people that he's taken some really great photos of. But yeah, he's a great photographer, a great person, great hang, great DJ. He's from Dublin, Ireland. He's currently in London, I think. Yeah, but he's a great pal and super excited to have him on today.
Honored to be number one. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Where are you right now?
I'm in London right now.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
You just got back from, where'd you go? Like Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi for a day. Yeah. Very.
One day.
What were you doing there?
I was DJing a fashion show, which is bizarre. Yeah.
Oh, is this for volleyball?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. What the
Nice.
hell?
Yeah, it's like there was a fashion show. Basically, my friend runs a company called Tech Power Luxury. Actually, another podcast.
Oh, nice.
And it's kind of about kind of merging fashion with kind of technology. And she's been doing these like fashion shows around the world to like try and spread Irish culture to different places, I guess.
Sick.
Yeah, that's so sick. So I guess just for anyone listening right now, if you may or may not know, so Christian started his own like musical DJ project called Volleyball, right? Like a few years ago or like 3 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was during COVID. And Cian Duignan, another music photographer, we both were making music separately, like on the road in hotel rooms and stuff. Yeah, when we both ended up back in Dublin for COVID, he was in New York before that. We played each other some music, and it was very similar. So we just said we'd do it together, and then just started DJing because of that. And it's just like a nice, fun, creative side thing to do.
Yeah.
Can confirm. I don't think I've heard you guys do anything together yet, but I know one night this summer, I think you DJ'd like an after thing.
I was absolutely hammered.
No one was.
Wait, so the fashion show you did, you were DJing?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. I've never been to a fashion show before, and I don't think I've even watched the fashion show. So I had to like do some research and figure out what you should play at a fashion show.
Have you ever been to Abu Dhabi before?
Never been to the Middle East. No.
Wow.
I'd like to go back. Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple of nights over tour. Our tour manager does like he calls it Pedro's Bar, where he cocktails for like the whole crew, and we have like a big party backstage. He was making margaritas that were like that much tequila and like that much everything else.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
so
I'm in
fun.
pain just thinking about it.
It was great. It was like a crazy shirt thing or cringy shirt or whatever.
Yeah, shit shirts.
That's what it was. Yeah. We were in like North Carolina or Virginia or something, somewhere random for the first one. Anyways, how have y'all's weeks been, Austin, Emily?
Just a bunch of editing and some shooting. I shot on Wednesday. Do you guys know the artist Max McNown? He's like a country artist. I guess he blew up on TikTok or whatever. I had no idea who he was, and I was just coming in to replace somebody because they couldn't do it last minute. So I shot at Irving Plaza. Just did like a multicam setup, and then I shot another artist the next day, just doing some portraits, and then just a lot of editing. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I had a pretty good week. I was working with Capital One again. We did SNL 50 events,
Ooh,
which was
yeah.
so cool. It's airing tonight. We're not obviously doing like anything to do with the actual episode, but Capital One was a sponsor for this episode, and we did a lot of like pre-events for it and lots of merch stuff, and that was so cool. Molly Shannon and I'm gonna butcher her name. Hold on. Anna Gasteyer and Molly Shannon were like, I guess for all the 5 major sponsors for this event, like you got like 2 SNL previous cast members, and they were
That's
our
cool.
2. And that was just so sick. As you would imagine, for anyone who's been on SNL, they're just like so entertaining to listen to.
That was
And they
like,
did, like,
how
a
many
bunch of
times have you already
panels.
done like SNL? Was that like your
That
Second or
was
third
so
time?
I've done SNL like properly with Vampire Weekend. And that I mean this was just a completely different experience because we weren't in the studio. Yeah, but this would be my second time working on anything like SNL related.
Christian, have you ever done SNL?
Did it with Niall in 2019. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, he did SNL. That's cool.
Yeah, it was. I was shocked at like how small the actual studio is.
Yeah, it's crazy to see like the sets moving in and out just constantly.
Yeah,
Were you
bizarre.
allowed to? I just like thinking about it. Like, were you allowed to shoot a lot?
was-
Like, while he or like not at all?
Nothing. No,
Oh,
we weren't. We
nothing.
didn't know if we could until we got there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Took,
Not
like,
even in his dressing room, or
Yeah.
dressing room. I could, yeah. And Scarlett Johansson hosted, so I could take like a picture of them together in the dressing room, but
That's
couldn't
cool.
couldn't shoot anything in the studio.
I guess.
Wow.
Scarlett Johansson.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
What's going on with your phone case? Is there like there's something sitting on your phone case?
Oh.
Oh.
Going on with your phone case? Show him.
Okay, so this my phone case. I do have a lot going on.
You do, yeah.
To be fair, I've made my phone as big as it possibly can. I have my dog on it,
Pups.
and then
Right.
I do have a little guy, and he's on his phone too.
You live there?
Yeah, he has no purpose other than to text and doom scroll with me. It's just
Christian, have you
emotional
seen these? Like, what are they called? The Schmikos? Like the
Smiskies or
Smiskies?
something?
Mitskis.
Like,
Yeah.
They're like these little
Oh,
like
Schmiskies.
Japanese characters that you buy, and like it's a box that comes in, and you never know which one you're gonna get, and you can kind of put them anywhere you want. Like this one
They're
right
just
here.
little guys.
This
Nice.
this is actually supposed to go on your phone too.
Phone, or did you stick them onto your phone?
Yeah, you just stick them on. You can put them on your laptop. You can put them on your Kindle. I have them everywhere personally. I'm a little bit obsessed.
Where Emily and I spent like $200 on these one day, blew all of our money, and just like these are each like $10. So don't ask. It's crazy. I mean, maybe we can talk about it. I don't know.
Honestly, I would do it again.
Live your
So
truth.
fair. Truly.
We were in Chelsea Market, and we were just like, we bought two. We didn't get the ones we wanted, and we were like, let's go back and what's another $10? And then we got two different ones that we liked, but we didn't want. And we were like, I mean, what's like another $10? And we spent like an hour just going back. It was like in a bookstore, and the lady's like, you're not getting the one you want. And we were like, nope. Like,
I could start talking about these in depth right now, but it would take up the whole episode. So we'll save that for another time.
We'll
that
save
could
it.
actually be, maybe that is your oh shit moment, Emily.
Okay, so our topic of the day, and I guess Christian, if you'd like to start, what did you have like an oh shit moment where you realized that you were like doing what you want to be doing? Or I don't know if I explain. Amanda, actually, will you explain this? Because this was your brain. This was your
Yeah.
brainchild.
No, I think you explained it well, but just kind of like the moment that you realized you were like doing what you wanted to be doing, but like at a level that was somewhat successful, and it was like, oh, like
Oh my God, I'm doing
I did it. Yeah.
I read this question in the email and I thought I better think about this for the next 24 hours so I have a good answer, and I didn't.
That's okay.
When I was like 14, I wanted to tour, but that took me like, I didn't go on my first tour till I was like 20. So like it's like 6 years. So like it was quite a slow build. It was never like a really like huge moment, but like the first time I like got to work with like an artist that I was into at the time, like I emailed Macklemore's management when I was like 15, and they were like, yeah, just show up, and I couldn't believe it. And I'd never worked with anybody other than like local artists before. I mean like local artists as in like people who grew up like on my street who play guitar in their bedroom. And I went like I went in my I bought like an outfit because I was doing my I was getting like exam results, and we were having like a big party, and I bought like an outfit for that, and I went in wearing that outfit to the shoot, like in my pants. And I arrived and they were like, you're 15. I could see it on their faces. It was like, we've made a grave mistake. Um, but that was probably the first time I was like, holy shit, I'm working with like an actual artist that people will know. But other than that, I feel like it was quite steady. What about you guys?
I feel like honestly, wait, yeah. No,
Sorry, not to interrupt you, Amanda.
Yeah.
I have a quick follow-up question. So was that just like a cold email, like to Macklemore's management?
Yeah, he hadn't like broke yet, and I
Yeah,
found
wait, when did the heist come out? Was that like right after or right before it?
this was right before that. So I
Oh,
so I
wow, that's so crazy.
was doing like an in-store in Tower Records in Dublin. I was in like a skate video because I started like shooting skating, and that's how I found out about him. And I had no connections to anybody. So what happened was I started shooting the skate park loads and putting like the photos and videos on Facebook, and a local rapper sent me a message and was like, "I'll give you like 50 quid to shoot me," and I was like, "Oh my God, people will pay photographers to take photographs of music." Um, so I just immediately just like cold emailed every single artist coming to Ireland on tour. And then every 2 months I'd like go back on because there's only one promoter really in Ireland. So they've just got like a listing and it's like every single show it's going to be happening in Dublin. And every like couple of months I just go on and I'd like email every single management of everyone. And none of them would reply for like a whole year. And then yeah, you only have to get lucky once, I guess. Yeah, they got back. They were the first ones to get back after about a year. And
That is so sick.
and I think Thrift Shop came out like maybe like 4 weeks later because like
Oh
Damn.
I was in
my
I was in
God.
because I was a fan and I was like I'm going to shoot Macklemore later. My friends were like, "What the fuck is Macklemore?" And then he was like the biggest artist in the world. So that really helped with like getting more jobs because then I could be like, yeah, I didn't. He wasn't a global superstar when I worked with him, but he is now. So yeah,
And
That's really
having
cool.
those photos before, I don't know, I feel like it almost like gives you even more like, okay, street cred isn't like the right term, but like that is so sick to be like, look at this guy who just blew up and he's so untouchable now, but here are all these like insane, like intimate photos that like, of course I have because how cool.
it was mad. I was just like hanging out in the dressing room, and he was actually on vocal rest that day, and I was just like in the dressing room and he was definitely just sitting there, like not speaking, just being thinking. And then he felt bad that because I had like a YouTube channel where I'd upload, like I'd make videos at shows. Uh, and he felt bad that we couldn't do like an interview. So he like gave me a bunch of merch.
That's sweet.
That's really nice.
Do you
Wait, did
still
you
keep
ever
in touch with him?
yeah, did you ever work
Or
with
is
him
it like,
again?
Yeah, I interviewed him a couple of years later when he came back and did like 5 arenas. Yeah.
Damn.
And I think that was probably the last time I worked with him. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Bizarre.
That's
Damn.
so cool. I mean, that's an amazing oh shit moment.
Yeah.
yeah, at such a young age too is really awesome. That
Yeah.
made me think of something like kind of similar that there's something, yeah, something similar that happened like a few years ago on our AJR tour. There was like we were doing our Australia New Zealand run, and I just kept getting a DM from this kid like, hey, like AJR is my favorite band. They're my favorite band. Can I please come shoot? Can I please come shoot? And like, it's not that I was ignoring it. I just kept forgetting to respond. And then he sent me an email and he was like, hey man, like, I know you haven't, I know you're probably busy or whatever. The show is tonight. Can I please come and shoot it? And I finally was just like, hey man, yeah, all good. Like, do you want a plus one? Like you'll be on the list. Doors are at 6 or like doors are at 6 or 7, whatever, shows at 9. And he was like, okay, cool. Thank you so much for letting me know. I'll try to make it. And I was like, all right, like, did you not want to do this or not? And I like looked at his Instagram finally, and this kid had like the most epic like video drone shots. Like he was like an FPV like drone pilot. So with like the drones that are doing this and whatever, and like really insane. Like his photos were insane. There's just no concert stuff, and I think that's what he was trying to get into. But his photos were immaculate. And he shows up like 20 minutes before the show starts, and he's sweating. He's like, "Thank you so much for getting me in." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, all good." I was like, "You all right? Like, did you have to take a bus here?" He's like, "No, I had to fly here." I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I had to get on a flight. It took me like 2 hours to get here. Thank you so much.
Shit. I was imagining him like sitting on top of his little drone, flying there.
Yeah, yeah. Like, he's flying himself there. And I was like, wait, you had to fly here? He's like, yeah, that's why I was trying to get, to respond as soon as possible. But thank you so much. Like, I won't let you down and blah, 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 blah. And
Wow.
I kept looking at him and I was like, how old is this kid? I was just like, hey man, how old are you? He's like, I'm 14.
No way.
What?
And he flew there the day of. His
Day
parents let
of.
that happen?
And I was like,
Oh my God.
where are you staying tonight? And he goes, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. And I went, nah, man, where are you staying tonight? He's like, I got a cousin, blah, blah, blah. Like, he didn't want to make himself as this like victim of like, oh, like help me out and blah, blah. He wanted it so bad. And
Love
it was
that.
just this
Wow.
crazy thing of like this fucking kid, this 14, 15-year-old kid flying. I mean, New Zealand is an island, so he obviously like figured out a way. And then we had a second show. I think it was like in Wellington or Auckland or whatever, and it was the same thing. He's like, man, like, if you let me in, can I please show up and blah blah blah. And I was just like, yeah, of course, but you have to promise me that you have a place to stay. Like, I don't want to have to like worry about you. He was like, cool, like done. And his photos were amazing. But anyway, I didn't mean to like take that away from Christian.
Wow.
It just like unlocked something. I was like, wow, the last time it made me think of just like that kid, that like this 15-year-old kid that just came up and like, wow, this kid wants it, man. Like,
Over my story. That's way cooler. Fair play. What
yeah,
about
yeah,
you
Wait,
guys?
Amanda, you were going
yeah,
to say
Amanda.
something and I completely
Yeah,
cut you off.
No,
oh
you're
shit
good.
moment.
Yeah. I feel like I've had a few. I feel like the most recent kind of big one was honestly on like tour this past summer, the Christian that like we did together. I feel like getting to a point where I was working with like Delwater Gap, and I feel like the first arena show that we did in Nashville, I was like, oh, that's a lot of seats. And I don't know. I think getting to that point where I was like, oh, this is like a level of touring that I never thought I would experience, having like the coffee carts and the puppies and like the nice things. I just like never really, I've talked about it before. It was never really on my radar to like do. So then getting the call to do that tour this summer and then getting there and doing it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Not something I ever thought that I would get to do. So I think kind of that tour in general, those first few shows was very, it was very cool. And kind of, again, like I said, I feel like I've had a few, but that's, I think, the big one for me.
Love that.
Heck
Love that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Coffee and puppies that made you realize. Amazing.
Yep.
There's puppies here. I made it.
Yeah, amongst other things, but yeah, I don't know, just like that, like I don't know, catering and like that level of like cushy touring, because I come from DIY and like there's not even a green room and I'm just kind of like
Hell yeah.
standing in the crowd. Like I come from that and like everyone's doing everything. Like I'm not eating. There's no like I'm like sharing a room with like the whole band. Like I come from that, and so getting to this point where I was like, oh, like this is kind of nice. I think was I realized like, oh, like this is like this is almost as like big as it gets in terms of like touring size and amenities and things. So it was really cool to experience that. And yeah.
I love that your oh shit moment was like while you guys were on tour together.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
can
mean,
Go ahead, go ahead, Amanda.
No, it's okay.
I was gonna say I like, and I want to hear Emily's oh shit moment, but my oh shit moment was also with Christian. I don't know if you know that, but it was with
Oh
Christian.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But I'll let Emily tell hers.
No,
and then
please continue. You
oh
can't
okay.
start that and then not
Both of
continue.
your own shit moments with me were despite me and not because of me, so just get that out there. So
No. For those of you who don't know, Christian was Hosier's photographer for a long time, and after I guess it was going into 2019, I ended up taking over as Hosier's photographer. And I guess before we got to that moment, I was on tour with I was working for Jadebird, and she was opening for Hosier. And at this point in time, Christian was shooting Hosier. And it's so interesting, man, because like I feel like I never actually got to like talk about any of this with you. I feel like we never really got to have like a ton of conversations on the road, but I was terrified of going into that because I didn't consider myself a photographer. I just wanted to do video. Like I wanted to make these video docs and vlogs of the artists behind the stage or whatever, and I had to learn photography while I was doing that. It was like, okay, well, if we're gonna give you this job, you need to do photo. Oh, and you need to do merch as well, yada yada yada. I had never really seen anyone else's work because I didn't know there was like a community of tour photographers or whatever. And after I had met you, I like went to your Instagram, I was just like going through it. I was like, oh shit. Like, this is so good. Just like, it was just so beyond that what I thought, like what you could do as a tour photographer. And so anyway, you I think there was like one day you got sick, and then like the day after that, you were nominated for your first iHeartRadio Tour Photographer of the Year award. And so, which, by the way,
Yay.
he just got nominated again. So he's now a 2-time nominee
Woo.
iHeartRadio Tour Photographer of the Year.
So sick.
And you had to fly to LA
Yeah.
for that
And
first one.
sick because I got food poisoning from Shake Shack.
Damn.
We just talked about food poisoning. It's the worst.
I don't know if you heard our latest episode.
Oh, shit related. I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the title of the episode is literally pooping on the bus and meeting Derek Jeter. Like, it's a weird episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you had left, and like you were coming back, but like you had left, and like Jade had just finished her set, and we were in our dressing room, and like we were just looking at what to go get for dinner, and Duchess like came down and was like, hey, like, are you free? Like, can you shoot the show tonight? It was like that last minute, and I was like, yeah, and like I didn't know where you were or whatever, and at that point they were like, oh yeah, Christian's like in LA right now, and yada yada yada. Like, are you able to shoot tonight? And I think it was like the next night too or whatever. And I was like, yeah, all right. And like I didn't know what I was doing, you know. And for like half of my shots, I was using a 14 millimeter like cine lens or whatever, and like on a 5D Mark III, and I was just going for it. And like it was at the very end of the show where he's kind of like thanking everybody. He's like thanking the crew, and he's thanking the band, and he turned around and he had done this like huge like grand gesture like that. And I just remember being at just like the perfect moment for that. And I just sat there just like spamming my shutter button, and I looked at my camera, and that was my oh shit moment of like, this is so cool. Like I'm not supposed to be here. And like I was just like a guest. Like I felt like I was filling in for you. And I don't know. It was really awesome. Like I was so happy to like, I knew that I wasn't quite there yet, but I knew that I could get there. And I remember looking at your work and almost using it as like a solid template that I could like be inspired from. And it was a really cool thing. I never really got to share that with you, but that's the truth.
Thank you. Yeah, no, but you were way more than capable, and you absolutely smashed it. And I don't think anybody noticed that like somebody else was shooting the shot. You know what I mean? Like your photos were just as good as anybody else's. Smashed it. Fair play.
Oh, thanks, man.
Nice moment. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Aw.
I know, this is so cool. Like I'm
So awesome. That
was
yeah, I
cool.
know. So like I'm so happy you're here. Like
Emily,
I
what
am.
was yours?
I have done so many different things in my career, so I have like different ones depending on what my goals were at that moment. I remember there was a moment I was one of the artist relations people for Casey Musgraves at ACL one year, and I went into the headliner compound at festivals. There's like a artist village area where most of the dressing rooms are, and then there are compounds for like the headliners so that they have their own space away from the other artists. I'm just clarifying that for anyone who hasn't been backstage at a festival. So I went to the artist compound, and I had these big alien earrings on, and I was doing something with Casey's tour manager, and Casey walked past and she went, "Those are awesome earrings." And in that moment, I was like, oh shit, like Casey Musgraves likes my earrings, and like I'm here and I'm working, and like that was another one.
That's actually a really
Oh.
great story. Like I never knew that. Did you
Really?
know that?
I still have
Mhm.
those earrings. I never wear them. They're like so not my style anymore, but Casey Musgraves loves them, so I'll
really
never
cool.
in my
That's
whole
very
life
sweet.
Can't get rid
ever
of
get
them.
rid of them. I had a moment on my first tour with Grace Potter where my photo got turned into merch, and seeing that in real life at the merch table, like before doors open, I was just like standing by there. I was just like the poor merch seller. She's like, I just want to do my job, and I'm over there like, that's my photo. Oh my god, I just had a shirt. So that was another oh shit moment. And then pretty much every single day on the Vampire Weekend tour, because I love their music, and then just being a part of that team and being a part of like them getting on stage and and everything was like
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool, especially MSG, like just sitting on the sidelines, like I came into work today and this is work.
Mhm.
And that's so cool. So everyone gave one answer and I gave like 6.
I was about to say
okay.
a lot of answers.
You mentioned like the photo on a shirt thing, and that reminded me of another one that was this summer. But like we got to like, I think we got through like the US leg, and there we had like the Delwater Gap co-headline at the Greek Theater in LA. And then it was right before we went to do like the UK leg, and I was just at the venue early, and I was just like hanging out, and I get a text from Holden, Delwater Gap, and he was like, it was like that morning, and he was like, "Wake up, you're in Rolling Stone," and he sent me a link, and it was like a Rolling Stone article on him, and that had used like, it was like a Polaroid that I have taken of him with a goat at one of the venues, because instead of puppies one day we had goats, and I just like, we went out, and I was just like, oh, Polaroid, and then it was in like a Rolling Stone article about him, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Seeing like my name with a little byline on rollingstone.com. So I feel like that was another one where that's just such a, I don't know, felt like such a far-fetched thing that like wasn't even ever, I mean, it was
It's
like on
Rolling
my
Stone.
radar, but
That's-
yeah, I was like, oh wait, I was like, what do you mean this like Polaroid that took me 5 seconds to take is now in a Rolling Stone article? I was like, that's crazy.
Christian, you
That's
took
so cool.
you took some really amazing pictures of Niall. That was a Rolling Stone cover, right?
For the cover, right?
Yeah, for the cover, right?
Please tell us how that went. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Oh, sorry, like I just like remembered that, like, yeah.
Yeah, that was like 20, start of 2023 it would have been. Yeah. Kind of the very beginning of the last campaign. Yeah, it was great. I think they wanted to have like their photographer shoot it, and Niall fought for me to do it, which was really sweet. And that was definitely like later in my career of like feeling like like that was like a bucket list thing to
Yeah.
do. And it was really nice. Like I've like been shooting gigs for so long, and you guys know like when you're shooting a show, like you're in control of nothing, you're just capturing what's in front of you. And it was like a
Mhm.
really like come up with like locations and ideas, and try and like have a bit of creativity with it, you know. It was, yeah, really fun shoot. We shot it in London in this really cool house that actually has a studio in the basement of it. Um but it was like we had to get like all of we shot all of Niall's press shots for the campaign and the Rolling Stone editorial in the same day. So there was like a ton of setups. We didn't have that much time, so it was like quite like stressful, quite high intensity. But yeah, it was great. I was super happy with it. That was definitely like a huge moment there. But I feel like Amanda just gave us her Rolling Stone
Yeah.
story.
No, but that, I mean, I don't know. Mine was at the cover. So.
Yeah. Was that like
That's sick.
We were talking about this like a few episodes ago about like, because Amanda just had a photo recently on a billboard, and we were talking about like having a team and like et cetera, et cetera. And like it was just her doing that entire shoot. Like for Niall, was it something similar? Was it like a skeleton crew, or did you have like, okay, I've got 3 gaffers over here and I've got this many assistants, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh no, nothing really. Cian, who does volleyball with me, he assisted me. So he's been doing a bunch of shoots with me recently, which is great. Just having like a friend there, even if I don't need a load of assistant, just like having somebody whose opinions I trust and is really talented there, is great. But other than that, it was just the two of us. We did the cover actually was shot just outdoors against the colorama set up outside with natural light. And then I just did a lot of like on-camera flash stuff, which is the look they were going for, which made it easier. Didn't have to set up a ton of lights. And we got a really good day, so there was beautiful natural light coming into the house as well. Uh, but yeah, it is nice being able to kind of have help when you can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any other like portrait shoots with anyone that is more of like a more intense production and not just like, I don't know, like more any photos of anyone that is like a more like you've had like a team?
I've never had like a big team. It would the Nosferatu press shoot I did recently. I shot like the whole cast of Nosferatu recently.
Damn, seriously?
That's so cool.
That was sick. Okay, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
That was same thing. I just like it was me and Cian, which is great. We also had like we had 8 setups to do in like 25 minutes with 6 cast members, and we had to do 8 setups, 25 minutes. So that was a lot as well. We shot it on the stairs where the Spice Girls made the Wannabe music video, which is funny. But I've never had like a huge crew. I shot BTS on the Hollywood Reporter roundtables a few years ago, and
Oh wow.
like seeing that was the first time I'd ever been on like a set where like there literally was like 35 people. I think because music photography, it's so you just have to do everything by yourself most of the time. I was always like, what would I do with a team of that many people? And then I was on that.
Hmm.
It's like, oh no, I get it now because there's like this is like movie set lighting for a photo. Now I'd love to do more of that stuff though. More interested in having a bit more control these days. So we'll see. Yeah. Have you guys done much team stuff?
Not really.
No.
I was gonna say, like, the second you said, like, as a concept photographer, it's just sort of you. You don't really
Yeah.
have control over anything. You just kind of have to get whatever's in front of you, which is like kind of what makes the challenge of it fun, and like also like not a whole lot of pressure because it's just like, or maybe it can be just depending on how you look at it. But it's like, well, I can't control what happens on that stage. I just have to shoot it. Whereas
Yeah.
like in a controlled setting, everyone's looking to you to be like, okay, no, you have to nail this. You can't mess this up. It has to be, right?
Yeah, I almost feel like the more I think about it, again, you saying like, oh, when you're a concept photographer, you figure out how to like do everything yourself.
Yeah.
I almost feel like if I had like a team setting up for a photo, I think that would be more stressful for me just because it's so foreign to like what I'm used to. And
Yeah.
I think too, like I have just become accustomed to, I'm very much like, oh, I can like fix this in post. So I'm like, even if I'm like doing a portrait shoot and I'm like, yeah, like I don't like that shadow, but I'm like, I can just get rid of it later. Like I'm so used to just thinking about things that way and thinking about photos that way. And even if it's like, okay, this is like a weird, boring photo, but like I can make it look cool later.
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like having a team would almost be like, it's just not how my brain works to like make things.
I think the biggest like or closest thing I got to like working with a team was when I was with Grace Potter. She was filming music videos and I was on set with her, and it was kind of BTS shoots, but like not really, because when she wasn't like actively filming a scene, she was wanting to do portraits, so we were kind of like mooching off that lighting that was already set up for the music video. So like I guess that's the closest. Like we had a team setting up the music video, and then like I mooched off of their efforts, but they weren't doing it for me.
Now you mention it, I completely blocked this out. For some reason, I directed a music video about like 5 years ago for like an artist who just gotten signed to a major label, and the budget was like £35,000, and but like me and my friend did it. He's like a big music video director now, but there was like 45 people there on the day, but like I didn't know really who any of them were because we just like come up with the idea and then the producer booked all those people. It was like what you're saying, Amanda, of like you show up on set and you're just like trying to direct, but there's a million people doing a million things. I have no idea who any of them are. I don't even know what half we're doing. And it's I think what drew me to music photography originally is like I was super socially anxious, and the fact that you can just be in the pit and you don't have to like direct a model or talk to anybody. It's like for the whole show, like you don't speak to anybody. It's just you
Yeah.
documenting.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
my gosh. I feel like transitioning from doing music photography to like portraits is kind of a weird transition because people are like, okay, what do I do? Like, I don't know, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Tell me what
be
to do. Tell me what to
normal.
do.
Like,
And I'm just like, do this. Like, I
I
don't know.
No, I'm so bad. Anytime I do a portrait shoot, I can really like
I'm
I've said
terrified.
I've said yes to things with people that I like don't really know, but like most of the time when I'm doing portraits, it's somebody that I have toured with, I've worked with, like I know them really well because like it's like it's quiet. I manual focus a lot of the time, so it like takes me a minute and I'm like zoomed in and like manual and I'm just they're like standing there and I'm like, I'm so sorry, this is really awkward. Like you guys are doing great.
oh, I always turn music on for that reason. I'm like, no, I always kind of trying to make it fun. I'm like, okay, we're gonna feel like Beyonce, like photo shoot, like here's some music to make you feel like your best self, but it also helps take the pressure off of me. Wait, but Christian, I feel like you've done a lot of, at least with Niall, from what I've seen, like posed photos, like is he just used to that, or were you directing him on what to do, or was there like a mixture of that?
Yeah, that like took a while. Like I've been shooting Niall for like over 7 years, and it took like a while for him to be comfortable with that. And I don't think it's something that like he naturally like enjoys. Um, so that took a while. But like, yeah, I know Niall now, and I know how he likes to look, and I know what I can tell him to do and what I can't tell him to do, and we like know each other so well that there's no anxiety at all about asking him to do something. Um. But I think I think what I realized as well, the first time I ever like did like a shoot with like a proper fashion model who like knows how to pose, like I was so nervous because one of the first photographers I knew in Dublin when I was starting off was a fashion photographer, and I used to look at the shoots he was doing and be like, I could never like do that. I'd be way too anxious. I don't know how like I would tell the model to do what she's doing in those photos. And then I remember like being on set for the first time with a model and like realizing that you don't have to direct a model because a good model just does it all themselves. And like you can maybe show them some references of the type of stuff you're looking for, but they just do it. Whereas like we're used to shooting like musicians who never learned how to do any of that and are just like, tell me what to do.
I feel like I really lucked out with Holden, Water Gap, because he kind of has that mindset of like he just knows what to do. So if it's like pre-show and like I just start taking pictures, he just starts like doing things, and I'm like, cool. I don't have to tell you anything, and it's gonna look good.
I just thought of
Yeah.
something. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I feel the same way about Regina. When I was on tour with her, she likes to do portraits right after the show, and I'm used to people not like really knowing how to pose. And what's so cool about her, she's more
This is Regina
reserved.
Spektor, by the way.
Regina Spektor, she's more reserved, but then as soon as you put the camera in front of her face, she's like, and I just remember being so shocked that like, but I shouldn't be shocked. She's been doing this her whole life. But I was just like, oh my God, she like really knows how to pose. Like she knows her angles. And I'm also thankful for that to follow off of Amanda's.
I just thought of okay, so it's like a couple years ago, I get a cold DM from Casey Musgraves. And I was on my way to a shoot. And she says, "Hey, Austin, a friend of mine recommended me to you, and I'm going to be at Electric Lady Studios today from like 12 to 4. Would love if you could come and shoot some BTS video of me riding or whatever." And I was like, "All right, cool." I've never bailed on a gig before like that last minute, but I did, and I went into the studio with Casey, and I was thinking like, okay, I'm here to do video. Like I'm here to just shoot BTS video and like fly on the wall kind of stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, I bring my camera and I bring two lenses just in case, but I know that I'm going into it shooting video. And I see her for the first time, looks like a movie star. I was starstruck, never been an Electric Lady before. And she's like, "Hey, like come on in. Thank you so much for coming. We're just gonna start writing, so like you can just start recording at any time." And I was like, "Great, got it." Like recording and everything. 45 minutes go by. They take a break and she looks at me and she's like, "Hey, Austin, let's go do some portraits." And I went, "Yep." And I closed my camera and I went to my camera bag and I went, fuck, like, what? Fuck. I'm like grabbing my camera and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like immediately looking like, okay, there's some windows. So there's some soft light coming over here. I don't know like what to do and like how to set her up. She comes back out and she was just like, "Cool, let's go over to the hallway." Like she already knows like where to go. And I was just like, okay. And I'm just like going through like my manual focus, whatever. I was like, okay, ISO could probably be like 800 here. Like I'm just really quickly like dialing through it. And she posts up in front of the staircase and she goes, "Okay, I'm ready." And immediately I just like start taking pictures and I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm like making this up as we're doing it. Like I literally tell myself, just fake it. Just not that I didn't know how to do portraits, but I was just like, it was so last minute. I wasn't prepared and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, like this looks good. How about this? And this is kind of going off like what you were saying, Emily, about how like she and you too, Christian, about how some people are just so naturally good at like posing and just doing it and so effortless with it that I didn't really need to say anything. I realized that then about 30 seconds after, and so I started to like retract a little bit and try to not talk a whole lot as I was taking pictures. I could feel like I was being a little bit too much. took a few pictures, and then was looking through it, and she's like, cool, can I see? Terrified, and she was just like, yeah, let's these are really good. Maybe like let's go over here. And then she starts taking me to the spots that she wants to do it in. And I was just like fully, how about this? How about that? And she's like, okay, yeah. And then it ended up being like an hour of just, we hit every room at Electric Lady. We went outside and took all these portraits, and then I just did video for the rest of the day. And I didn't say anything else. Like I was just, obviously I was there to just do BTS, and I sent her all the pictures like the next morning. She's like, these are amazing. Like, let's come back and like let's do more portraits. And I was like, all right. And like, long story short, those photos never actually saw the light of day. And then, fast forward a year and a half later, and she put all the pictures and like sold it as like a zine, like on her website and everything, which was like a really cool little feeling. But anyway, the point of the story was just like, it was so last minute, and like the modeling she was just so good at it, and I was just like, I didn't even need to think about it. It was so quick. She's so professional. She's so cool. Like obviously she's done it a gazillion times, but yeah, I just thought of that. It was just like fun thing.
I find that shooting a lot more actors recently as well. Like you think like actors are so used to being in front of the camera, and some of them are, but then some actors are totally like, I'm not used to being in front of a camera if I haven't been given a character. So they don't know what to do, so they like need loads of direction. But then in some ways doesn't. Like some people are just like on that Nosferatu shoot, like I didn't need to say a word to Lily Rose Depp. She just like knew exactly what to do. And then like Willem Dafoe came out, he's just like, what do you want me to do? I was like, yeah, so it's nerve-wracking. But I think those moments like you explained there with Casey, where you're kind of just thrown into it, and you maybe don't have the right gear, or you don't have like lights that you would have maybe brought if you knew you're going to be doing that. I think they're the moments that like make you like a better photographer, because you have to like think on your toes and adapt, and I think you learn really quickly that way. But
Amanda, let me know if you agree with this, but I feel like because I used to do self-portraits a lot, I feel like me being in front of the camera doing self-portraits has helped me like direct people on when I'm taking photos of them. Like, because I'm like, okay, this looked good when I was doing it. Maybe it'll look good when they do it.
Amanda, your self-portraits are so cool.
amazing.
They're so
Thanks.
artsy. They're so cool.
Thanks, guys. I feel like in some ways maybe I don't know, it's interesting. The way that like my brain is working when I'm doing self-portraits is just so like wholly separate from when I'm doing portraits of anyone else, just because when I'm doing self-portraits I can kind of go into it with like not really an idea, and I just kind of have that like safety net of, if this doesn't work, it literally doesn't matter. I don't have to post them. No one else will see them. I'm not on anyone else's schedule. I don't like, nobody's waiting for me. Like I feel a lot more free, and I'm just kind of like, oh, if it doesn't work, if it takes forever, it doesn't matter. Whereas when I'm doing stuff with someone else, it's like, okay, like it's for this album and here's the album. And it's a little more like, I don't know, I'm also like, oh, people are waiting on me to like get these two lights set up or whatever. So it's just like, I feel like my brain is just in a very different, like, I'm in a different headspace when I'm doing those two things, which I think like pros and cons for both ends. But I just don't think the same way when it's like for just me versus like for like an actual client.
Not to like hard jump, but should we answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
The first one is, what's your favorite photo you've taken? And in case you're like me and you obviously I said like 6 oh shit moments, so I'm very bad at making decisions sometimes. If you're like me, I would say like top 3 favorite photos you've taken if you don't have just one.
This is another one that I saw in the email, and I was like, I should think about this for the next day, and I didn't. There's a portrait I took of Barry Keoghan in Kerry in Ireland. In like there's a place called the Gap at Dunlow. It's like a really famous like kind of valley. Um, and I was hanging out with him down there for the weekend, and we just like went for a walk, and I just brought my camera, and he was like, let's do some portraits. And like the light was perfect. He like ripped his like shirt off, and he like was training for like the Marvel film that was going to come out that wasn't announced yet, so he was in like silly shape, and whatever way he like posed was like perfect. And like the mountains came out from behind him. I have him like framed with like his head in kind of the valley, and like the mountains almost like look like an angel wings or something, and he's like shirtless with his
That's so cool.
I don't know. There's something about that shot that like it. I really like it. I think the moment was really nice, and it was like super casual in the moment as well.
I was just gonna say, was that supposed to be like a portrait session, or you guys were just hanging out?
No, I just went down. He was living down there at the time. We just went out. I just went down for the weekend. And there's another shot from that shoot, like further up the valley, where we were driving along, and I was like, "Oh, we should hop out here and do some pictures." And he jumped out and sat on like this wall over like a little river, and I took a shot like framed through the like window of the car, and it's like framed with the window and then framed with the mountains behind it. I really like that one as well. Um, they're kind of ones that jump to mind.
Can I say one of my favorite photos of yours? It's of Niall. It's from Tour of the Summer. Not to keep going back to tour, but I think it was maybe Madison Square Garden. I don't know, but it was one where you were like, you were on stage behind him and he had like kicked, and I think you maybe it was one of the nights that you borrowed my like 20 mil maybe.
Your lens, yeah.
Yeah, but he had like kicked and his foot's like in the corner of the frame. And then the crowd behind him. I don't know. I thought that shot was just like so good.
Thank you. That I couldn't have done without your lens. That's maybe my favorite shot from the tour as well. Yeah, and I like that it's the MSG and it's got the iconic ceiling. So
Yeah.
that's
I think my favorite photo of mine is of Holden, Delwater Gap, and it's from Austin City Limits. This was my like fifth or sixth show with him. It was like early on in the first tour that I did with him. And at the end of our set, we were like on one of the bigger stages at ACL, and he like ran over to the side at the very end, and I was recording on my phone for socials, and he ran over to the side and started climbing the stage, like the scaffolding on the stage, and got like all the way to the top, and I panicked and like threw my phone down and then started taking pictures, and I did not have the lens that I wanted to use, and so I was just like hoping that I had settings right and like taking this photo, and then even after I took it, I like was editing and I was like, oh, I feel like I could have done this better, but it's grown on me, and now it's one of my favorite photos that I've taken.
so good. So good.
Thank you.
You're like in the pit, I think, looking up at Holden, and he like swings the mic or something. Like the mic is like out in front of him. So good. So good.
Thank you.
I think this is the one that I'm gonna say this is the one that I'm the most proud of because it was just kind of an accident, but like a year straight, I was doing in-camera double and triple exposures on the Canon 5D Mark III, and I was obsessed with it. Like I couldn't get enough of it. And this is when I was on tour with Robert DeLong, and we were doing like clubs, and then it was also him opening for AJR during the Click tour, and it was at Record Bar in Kansas City, and the whole picture is just basically him walking like one step like that. Like that's just the whole picture. And I ended up just quickly like doing that, and it was just like the triple exposure moment, and I just sat there and waited for it to come out. I barely touched this in camera, but it was just this like weird picture where he's like kind of
So
just taking he's just taking a
Oh.
step. And I remember looking that like off the camera, and I was just like, I don't know what this was. And then that same night, it was like this was something similar. It was just off the camera, and I was just like, I'm so proud of these. And I don't know, for some reason, I always think of those pictures of just like because I feel like everything for the rest of the night when I was trying to do it, it looked horrible just because doing the in-camera stuff, it's you're either going to nail it or you're going to
Mm-hmm.
it's going to look like garbage. But
bit of chance to it as well. It's so satisfying when it works. Yeah.
mhm.
Oh my gosh, I'm like so bad at making decisions. I was like just scrolling through my own Instagram, being like, which one's my favorite? This one I really love. I was shooting Eden for. I used to be the house photographer for emos in Austin, and I didn't know this artist. I still don't really listen to him, but
Mark,
I was shooting him for the venue, and he had lasers as a part of his show, and I like got this photo, which I just thought was so. It's still one of my favorites. I love a vibe. I love color, and it's just it feels so like I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, but that's just I love the feeling of that photo. So coming back to that one, I am gonna say two because I truly can't choose. Um, But another one that comes to mind is I was on tour with the Black Pumas, and they did Gov Ball one year. And after they got off stage, and we're just hanging out, I brought my camera out into the crowd and I shot Halsey from like the back of, or like middle point of the crowd. And I got this shot. And I remember like editing that one and being like, I truly like think of a huge headlining crowd. I'm like behind front of house. So the fact that I even got that shot and it was like in focus and everything, like that was just a really cool feeling. But I just like love how it looks. So those are two that come to mind for me. Next question is, what are your favorite albums? I guess like top 3 favorite albums.
Of all time?
I guess so.
You could do all time.
time.
I might do recent.
I'm
What I'm
gonna
listening
do
to recently.
current
Yeah, I'm gonna do
favorite.
like what I'm listening to right now.
I'm gonna do a mix. I
Yeah.
have some that are like
might
all
do a
time.
mix.
Yeah. I have 2 in mind. I think all time, one of my big all times is I Had the Blues, but I Shook Them Loose from Bombay Bicycle Club.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a big all time for me. I love that album. I think recent is the Fontaines DC album that came out last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love
When-
Fontaines DC.
When Starburster was released as a single, I listened to that like so many times. I love that song. But that album's really, really solid. And then from Indian Lakes, which is like an all-time favorite band of mine, or Foxing. I think anything from their discography. I come back to it frequently.
Mine, at the moment, well, I was going to pick Fontaine CC, but I actually think I love the new one, but I think Skinty Fia, the last one, just beats it for me. One of my favorite albums ever. I listen to it so much. Bright Future, Adrian Lenker, that like all year, last year, I
Yeah.
was nonstop. Changed a lot for me musically. Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick is probably one of my favorite albums. There's an album by a project called Headache last year called The Head Hurts, but the Heart Knows the Difference. And it's the producer Vegan and this unnamed collaborator made this album, and it's like nothing I've ever heard. It's like crazy unique, and I listened to that nonstop over the last year. That's 3, I guess. No, that's 4. I'll keep going. I don't care. McGee's album last year was unbelievable. Everybody loved it. Everything Bon Iver has ever done. Huge.
Yeah.
True. Bon Iver has like a new one coming
coming
out
out
soon. Yeah.
I might do more than 3 as well, but one is I love pretty much every single thing that Remy Wolf has ever put out, but I'm especially drawn to her EP, I Am Allergic to Dogs, and also her most recent album, Big Ideas. Like, I just think everything she makes is so fun. I love pretty much every single one of Billie Eilish's albums ever, but the one that I will literally never get over is her Don't Smile at Me EP. Austin has heard me talk about this like way too many times, but that EP, I listened to it right when it went out in 2017, and she's one of the only artists that I got like, I was like full body like buzzing when I heard that album. And I like was working at C3 at the time and basically shoved it down the throat of every talent buyer that would listen to me. So like that one has to be mentioned. And then This Is Why by Paramore altered my brain chemistry.
I can't believe I didn't mention the Paramore album.
Yeah, so insane. And then probably the most recent Hosier album, actually. What is Unknown Unearth? Is that what it's called?
Great. I love that one.
So good. So yeah, those are the ones I'll mention.
This Is Happening by LCD Sound System. I feel like that whole record carved me going into just the music scene in general. I think like there was a moment in time where I was like, I was living on my friend's couch. I had no money. I had nothing. And I was trying to make the whole tour photography thing work. And I was just listening to that album on repeat. And the last song on that album is called Home, and it's my favorite song in the whole world. And I remember that time that I was listening to that album, like, you know, every other couple of days was the same month that I got the email back from Jadebird's team saying like, hey, like, you know, this tour is going through. Here's the budget. You know, you can come on and do merch. And if you want to do photo and video, we'd really appreciate it. And I remember that album kind of being tied with that memory. And so I feel like for me, it's just always going to be up there for me at the top. And then Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads. And then I think anything Big Thief, like from Capacity, Masterpiece, you know, Two Hands, I think is also really good. Like every record I think they've ever put out is just phenomenal.
I thought of one more. I don't gonna say it, but the Last Dinner Party, Prelude to Ecstasy, is like actually changed my whole life last year. So I have to say it. Like I literally became a different person after I heard the album.
Unpack that.
Um, listening to it, it's just so like the Nothing Matters, their like main song, completely just like it was something so unlike what I had heard before. Yeah, Austin is getting. I have the signed album. But then I went to the show and I remember standing there just being like, and this still stands. If there's any chance that any of the band members are listening to this, I know that that's not happening. But like, I just remember standing there watching the show being like, they are carving out a space for themselves in this industry. And I want to be a part of whatever they're creating so bad. Like the world that they created with their music and in their fan base and how they present themselves on stage is something that I just immediately was like hooked to. And I think that an artist being able to do that in both on the album, in their music, but also live, like I find that so special. And I think that their career is going to like absolutely reflect how special that is. And it just made me want to like work harder and be a part of something like that. And I think when you find an artist like that inspires you in that way, how can you not like completely shift after you hear it?
Have you considered a job in music PR for Last Dinner Party?
I honestly, I would be open to it. Okay, next question. Best advice someone else has given you when it comes to photography?
I'll go first. When I was probably like 16 or 17 and I was not I think this was maybe I was still working for like my stepbrother's band in Lakeland. This was like I don't know when this was. This is very early on in my photography journey, and there was another photographer in like Lakeland, Winter Haven area where I'm from, and he did a lot of portrait stuff, and his portraits were great. He also did this thing. He would do like video portraits, but he would film in 60 and then cut to 30. And I remember him posting this in like 2016, 2017, and I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And we shot together once and we were hanging out, and I had been shooting for like a year or two, and I remember him asking me like if I had any like advice for him or like tips for him, and I was like, why are you asking me this? And he said, which again at the time this felt like really deep, but I think it does still kind of like stand, but he was like, oh, like it's really important to me to always be a student and to like always learn and to never feel like I've learned everything, but to always be like, he was like, I think everyone has something to like teach me. I'll never know everything. And like, he was like, I just think it's really important to like always be a student and to always be learning. And again, at the time that like blew my mind, and I was like, oh my God, that's so deep. But I think it does still kind of like hold up. And I think it's a good kind of thing to keep in mind. And yeah. So that.
I love that.
I remember when I started on the Niall tour and the first time we were going through the US, as guitarist Jake Curran, amazing, like world-class guitar player. He, on one of the days off, he was like, oh, I'm going to go get a guitar lesson off a guy who lives in this town who I follow online. And it's like Jake could have an amazing career, never learning anything else about the guitar ever. And he was like, just going to go to like a local guitar teacher and like get a lesson on his day off. And I was like, I love that. Totally. It's the exact same thing. It's just like, there's always more to know. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I never actually had like, because I didn't really get to start hanging out and talking to photographers like until like well into I was touring, and I was kind of already doing it myself. But this advice that I got, I mean, I technically didn't get it. It was just a comment that this person left, and I read it and I went, ah, it's so good. And Christian, I'm sure you follow Andy DeLuca
Yeah.
on Instagram. somebody just left a comment, and and I'm sure you get these all the time of like, how do you get started, and like what camera do you like, how do you blah 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 blah. And it was just that same thing. Someone was just like Andy, I don't know what to do. How do I get started, and how do I start photography or whatever? He just replied with, get a camera, get to work. That's all he said. I just like read it. I went, all right. I don't know. I really fell in love with that. I was just like, because there's no other way to do it. Like, just get a camera and get to work. And it's just so straight to the point.
Photography is like like the ultimate like practice makes perfect thing. Like the only way to get better at it is to do it. Like your eye can't get better unless you're taking photos. I see like sometimes photography being like, oh, get a film camera and shoot on film first and learn the basics through film. And like it's a lovely romantic idea, but I actually kind of disagree with it in that if you start on film, like you can learn aperture and shutter speed and ISO and everything on a digital camera. You don't need a film camera to do that. But also, if you're shooting film and you're starting off, you probably don't have that much money to be spending. And if you're worried about only having a certain amount of shots in a roll, you're only taking a certain amount of shots every time you go out. Whereas with a digital camera, you see the results right away, and you go out and you can take 5,000 photographs in an afternoon if you want to, and you can learn. You can take a shot, look at it, take a shot, look at it, and figure out like what's wrong, then shoot it again and see what you've done and see what you've changed. And I genuinely think that is like the best way to learn. I think it's like it's not as romantic or as an idea of like going out and learning on film and doing it the way the old-fashioned way. I think just like being able to instantly see what you've done and figure out what you've done wrong and then change it in real time and shoot as many photographs you want to is like the I think that's the best way to learn in my experience anyway. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. That's
Mhm.
like, I always try to say the same thing. Just like, you got to do it. Like, what's in your pocket? A phone. All right. Do you have a lot of money? No. Okay. Start using it. Like, you just gotta, you have to just start doing it. Yeah. I mean, that was my journey with photography too. I was just going for it. And I was just like, all right, this isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working. And it was just constantly seeing shitty results until I finally got to like, okay, this picture is all right, I guess. Oh, this one's not bad either. And then, you know, times
Yeah.
that by years. And then you'll get to a point where you're like, cool, I think I kind of know what I'm doing. But even then, I never know what I'm doing.
Don't even I don't think I've ever had anyone formally give me advice. So that's why I'm like drawing a blank. But I mean, I think that a lot of little things have helped me throughout the way of this industry is all about who you know and connections and like how you are around people. And I think learning that and hearing people being like, yeah, it's all about like kind of like being a cool hang and like nice, that helped me, I think, with portraits and just being around artists. Like you get way more natural shots and like way better shots when you have a relationship with the artist, in my opinion, because it just comes out feeling a lot more authentic. So I think like learning that was really helpful to me. Um, but also, yeah, I think it's a lot of like I took a film class in college, and I think like agreeing and also disagreeing with the professor helped me a lot. Like her and I actually butt heads a lot. Like she didn't like my style of photography and I really didn't like hers, but like that helped me, and like learning the parts of her work that I did like helped. So I don't know if it's like advice, but I guess just like trying different things until you find what you like helped. Like trying out different formats. Amanda, what you're saying about, or what you said in the past about like mixed media, just like trying a bunch of things and just seeing what you like and what happens and just playing around. I guess ultimately not that's not really advice I've gotten, but just like in what I've like
picked up on.
Yeah.
experienced,
Yeah.
like that's helped me the most. It's just everyone being like, you just got to do it and like you just got to play and have fun with it, and eventually you'll find something that speaks to you. Like that, I think, is the closest thing to advice I've gotten.
Yeah.
I think being able to trust your taste, like you said there, about like not like thinking that, oh, the way my professor wants me to shoot is the only way that you can shoot. Like ultimately, like you're making art at the end of the day and you want to express your own images, I suppose, and like shooting a certain way isn't gonna make the best work that represents you. So like trusting your taste like that, I think is really important. And back, I think you kind of touched on what my advice was as well, of just I think it was more kind of general life advice, but just like I was told like when I was very young, like be somebody that people want to work with. And I think that's, especially as a touring photographer, it's like that's more important than your photos nearly. Of you're like living on a bus oftentimes with an artist, and it doesn't matter how good your photos are if they don't want to spend every day with you because that's what they're going to be doing, then it doesn't matter how good the photos are. And like an 8 out of 10 photographer who's like an amazing person, amazing hang, who's like great on the bus, who's like good for morale on the tour, doesn't get in the way. Uh, that person is going to get the job over like a 10 out of 10 photographer who's like awkward and difficult and butt heads with people on the tour, every single day of the week. And I think that's probably the best advice, yeah, I was given as well.
Okay, I know we're a little bit past time. I just have like one little last question and then we can just wrap up. What's next? Like, are you gonna do a lot of more volleyball gigs, or are you kind of like, do you have something where you're like, no, I really want to focus on volleyball, or actually I think I'm gonna take a little break and I want to go do XYZ, or are you kind of just, I'm gonna do whatever I want?
To be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm like living life day by day at the moment. I'm trying to figure it out. Um, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go straight into another tour straight away. Just like that tour last year was like 9 months, pretty much nonstop. And I wanted to take a bit of time to like live in the real world outside of a touring bubble for a while, which has been really nice. But I'd like to try and do like some personal photo projects. I have an idea, like I have a couple of ideas, some stuff I want to shoot in Ireland as well. I'd like to shoot some stuff that like is totally not like entertainment related at all. Um, as much as I love music photography, I don't feel like I can like maybe say much with it as like an artistic statement, I suppose. So I'd like to maybe shoot some more stuff that has a bit more kind of a story to it that uh is kind of my idea. Don't know what that is yet, figuring it out, a couple of ideas. But yeah, I've absolutely no idea is the the meat and bones of it, yeah.
Again, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
kind of never know what I'm like up to and like what I want to do, and kind of just take each day at a time, and I just do whatever sounds fun. I just kind of and I go with it.
I like making it up as I go along.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a great answer.
that's
Sweet.
so awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
This was really cool getting to talk to you.
You too, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yay.
Cool.
We will include all of like Christian's information in like our description of the YouTube video, and we'll tag him so everyone can go and see his amazing work. And I know that we mentioned this, but he is nominated for an iHeart Radio Award.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the
so
description. Go vote for him.
Yeah.
go
I don't
vote
know.
for him.
When does voting end? Because
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
The March 10th, I think you can vote until, and you can vote every day.
Okay. We'll put this out before March.
We need to put this up
Yeah.
before then, but
Yeah.
go vote for him. Yeah, we are so thrilled to have had you as our first guest, and
Yay.
this was so much fun.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Cool.
yeah. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Please Tag Me. My name is Austin.
I'm Emily.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Christian.
Thank you.
Bye.